So in case my PFP didn't give it away, for better or for worse, I'm a fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Last time I covered this series was Sonic 06, 2 years ago. A game that's not only infamous in the Sonic community, but it's also one of the most infamous video games of all time. Now I know if you click on this video, you probably know this, and might even be sick of hearing this story in other people's videos. But for the game we're covering today, it's really important. See, during the development of Sonic 06, Sega thought it would be a great idea to have the already suffering dev team split its team to work on a Wii version of Sonic 06. You see, one of the main difficulties of the development is that this game was made for, at the time, new consoles. The Xbox 360 and the PS3. And we were working on the 360 port before the PS3 port, which is why the PS3 version is somehow way more glitchier than the Xbox 360 version. Essentially, we had to figure out what both consoles could do, and everything else is pretty chaotic. Like Yuji Naka, one of the two people who created Sonic, leaving Sega, and Sega not allowing the dev team to push back the release date and all that jazz. Nintendo Wii is more about Nintendo playing into the family-friendly aspect by having a game that even your grandma can enjoy. Basically, a lot of multi-platform titles had to have the graphics loaded for the Wii's weaker specs. They even have that same name different game syndrome that I talked about last video. To this day, Nintendo still has a comp in the graphics department, and the gap has grown even wider since the release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Now, I'm not saying Sonic 06 is such an impressive looking game that it can't be downsized onto the Wii eventually, but the time it would take had Sega not pleased. So instead of a port, they decided to have the team work on an entirely new game that released a couple months later. Today's topic, Sonic and the Secret Rings, was that game. This game was also very hated in the Sonic community, but for many reasons that will be outlined in this video, I can't help but love it. But I can't and won't defend many of its faults. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Before jumping to the premise, I wanted to get into some of the neat side content this game has. This game has a multiplayer mode that's basically Mario Party. You start with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. Shadow, Silver, Cream, and Blaze are characters that you can unlock by collecting these collectibles called Fire Souls and missions. It's neat, but I would recommend it if you have no one to play it with. I had more fun with this than Sonic Shuffle though, so that's something. The other thing Fire Souls unlock is pages in the special book. It's basically an extras menu. It has the expected cutscene and soundtrack gallery, but it also has concept art of enemies and areas in the game. It also has work in progress CG cutscenes, a behind the scenes video, and even an entire Big the Cat diary. Really fun to scroll through. But to get into what this game is about, Sonic is chilling in his house. And yes, according to this game, Sonic Labyrinth and Sonic Shuffle, he owns a house. Suddenly a genie by the name of Shara appears and tells Sonic that he needs to stop this guy called Eraser Jin. Shara then gives Sonic a carpet to enter the Arabian Nights. This is when we get the prologue, which is pretty boring. It's pretty much just 8 missions of sleep-inducing tutorials. After the snooze trip, Sonic and Shara encounter the main villain, Eraser Jin.
What's that all about? Talk about close shaves. Maybe you know where I can get my quills sharpened too?
He tries to hit Shara with a flame shot when all of a sudden Sonic gets him away. Sonic is now instructed to collect the 7 world rings before the flame extinguishes on his chest. When the flame goes out, he dies. See, getting into this gameplay of Sonic with the Secret Rings requires us to talk about the big giant elephant Hold that thought, yes?
What's up?
Joko, host of a YouTube channel Frostbite? How did you find my house?
Look, don't worry about it. Just know that I'm here to defend Secret Rings with you.
Yeah, but you're like 3 minutes late.
Look, like it or not, this is my video now, so deal with it.
Alright, whatever.
3, 2, 1.
Basically how this game works is via the Wii's motion controls. The Wii motion controls basically control everything in this game, except for jumping and braking. Like a mobile game like Temple Run, Sonic automatically moves in this game, and can't be stopped unless you hit the brake button. Essentially, this is the first Sonic game where Sonic controls like a car. While I move left, hold the remote left. Now go right, hold the remote right. Additionally, Sonic can use speed brake to boost through stages and time brake to slow down time.
First things first, this game would be loved slightly more if it had analog controls. It doesn't. Sega loves taking good things from us, and this would have made the Secret Rings experience a whole lot better. If I could simply use my thumbs to control Sonic, I'd cry.
Funny you say that, actually. I did play this game twice for this video, once on Wii using motion controls, and another time playing on Dolphin using an actual controller.
Dolphin, huh? This game reminds me of dolphins if they have bricks attached to their fins, because that's how it feels to control this boulder called Sonic. You see, when you first start off the game, Sonic has a very limited moveset, and the further you progress in the game, you can increase Sonic's speed, but for some reason they have to have this side-to-side movement locked behind how fast he moves forward. So pairing this with the fact that the Wii Remote sensor doesn't like to register your movement half of the time, it makes moving Sonic left to right in earlier stages of the game sort of annoying. Again, like I said, this problem fades when you level up Sonic, but I wasn't completely honest. Instead, I feel like it reverses it. Sonic moves way too fast when you level him up. In early games, Sonic moves left to right like a fish without fins, and in late game he slides everywhere like Shadow. Bro, you are not him. Apparently when Sonic was born, he had 0 bones in his neck to compensate with his movement because he stays looking forward while turning left to right.
The game doesn't exactly turn into a 10 out of 10 masterpiece once you plug a controller in, as it solves the same problems but slightly less exhausting.
I've been holding off on talking about the motion control specifically because I want you to envision this. To move Sonic left and right, like stated prior, you mostly tilt the Wii Remote. To jump though, it's something you can do, I guess. You can do it by pressing the 2 button. See, in the game, jumping is chargeable and you can do it out of running, and you're gonna need to do it a lot. But jumping feels so tedious because at a lower level, it just kills your speed. Granted, Sonic moves kinda slow early on, and this isn't too problematic when most platforming sections are reaction based and depending on how you time your jumps, but because of the way jumping works, you can easily overshoot something, undershoot something, charge it too early and miss, charge it too late and miss. Luckily, they provide you with a pretty good air dash. It's one of the only reasons jumping is tolerable. It helps with undershooting a bit. Sonic has other movement options like backing up. You don't want to do this unless you want to kill Sonic though. Now, but before I return to my house, let me quickly defend the controls. While Sonic might feel like a fighter jet later in the game and like a snail inside of a turtle carried by a sloth early in the game, if you max his speed and equip the right stats, he's genuinely fun to play. It actually makes me try to perfect my timing for jumps and such, along with the various buffs you can give his moves. He becomes very fun to control. If you do it the right way, I guess. If you genuinely think that Sucre Ring's controls are dookie butt, you just suck at the game. Anyways though, that's all for me. Time to return to my house that I legally bought.
Well, isn't that something? But yeah, while Sonic is the most fun he's ever been, I don't think there was a point where I thought he was impossible to control. But like I was saying earlier, this game doesn't become a 10 out of 10 masterpiece when using a controller. And honestly, the main reason why is because of how the missions are in this game. I'd rather do most of the missions in this game than half the missions in Shadow the Hedgehog, but that still doesn't change the fact that a lot of these include mundane tasks. And in my opinion, no amount of good controls will ever make smashing 5 Genie X fun. But let's slow down a bit and talk about how this game will usually do its levels and missions. Using the first real level, Santa Racer, as an example, you'll do the level normally, run a section of level, only this time you can't die. Then play another section of the level, only this time you can't break a jar. And for another mission, play another section of the level, only this time you break 5 jars. Or a final main area, Night Palace, where the cutscene after the first mission sets up Sonic and Razor Jin's final showdown. With a reward ring, you have to turn on and erase Uhu, have to not die. There's a section of the stage with 0 rings, and have to defeat 20 enemies. Then you'll get reward ring and can fight Eraser. A lot of the time, the missions you do can feel like busy work. Not by the fact that it can be a pain trying to figure out what missions you need to do, because you unlock more levels by finishing them. And when you unlock a level, it just tells you a new level is unlocked. No checkmark or any signal that a mission will progress the story, or give you access to another story mission or a reward ring. But on the flip side, the levels and the themes are pretty interesting. Sure, you have basic Arabic sand level, but then after that you have Dinosaur Jungle. A jungle full of different kinds of dinosaurs and plants that will try to chase you. I mean, the dinosaurs will try to chase you, not the plants, but you know what I mean. Then you have to go to my personal favorite, Evil Foundry, which is a lava factory that was once a palace. You start on the front, which is mostly stable, but later you have to home attack on cranes to get across. Even the last prologue is an interesting location, as it's the entrance to the Arabian Nights. But when you run over pages, the letters fade because of a razor draining the book. The level design of these stages are pretty fun in my opinion. There's surprisingly a lot of opportunities to take multiple paths and shortcuts. The greatest example is Skeleton Dome, where you can kill these enemies and gain access to a spring, or take you to an area that's quicker than just doing the stage normally. It is so that you can home attack in the section of Pilot Stern. It leads to an invisible grind rail segment, and then it happens again in the cave segment. It isn't much, but it shades off a couple seconds, and you'll need these shortcuts if you want the gold medals. The stages also have memorable set pieces too. In Dinosaur Jungle, you'll be immediately chased by dinosaurs, where all of a sudden, the bridge breaks and you have to be serving on a water wall. But Sonic recklessly decided to jump into a cannon, much to Char's dismay.
Whoa! Oh, you are so reckless!
Even the extra missions can be awesome. As I've already said, Evil Foundry is my favorite zone of the game as one. The levels you need to progress are pronounced, and the levels actually build off of each other. They feel more like acts to a zone as opposed to meaningless chores. In the first mission, you head there for the first time, being unfamiliar with the environment. The second time around, you still start in the palace and go into the factory, but you'll take a different route. The last mission is you escaping from Evil Foundry in order to not be blown up, meaning this time you're going inside out, which is pretty cool. The mission where you have to rescue Sinbad also acts like a really cool act to the levitated ruin. I just appreciate how the stages are original and are well designed, at least in my opinion. Especially when we're in an era that even games that will have you think that we're experiencing Sonic like never before, we're still just running through levels that at this point we've seen for 11 years straight. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, because there's another issue I've been neglecting. This game's level up system is a complete mess. How you get EXP is when you beat a mission, you get a certain amount of EXP. Most of the time, 1 or 2 missions should be enough to level up. If you do level up, you'll gain access to new skills. Like I said earlier, the Aegis slider is something that will make your slide invincible. You can extend the radius of your homing attack. You also have these abilities that will give you speed depending on how many elemental abilities you have equipped. You need to have separate range of abilities saved just in case you want to change skills but don't want to change a specific loadout. Now, it might seem like I'm giving this a lot of praise, which may sound weird because I just called it a mess earlier. But that's because certain type of skills just give you bonuses that should have been in the game already, like having a backstep. By reversing, you can press 2 and Sonic will do a backflip. You can use it to keep a distance from an enemy or use it to go faster while going backwards. This really should have just been a natural ability, or if it was turning left to right smoother. Honestly, this one just makes it seem like the developers knew that Sonic's controls weren't all the way there, so rather than just doing the thing that makes the most sense and just fixing the controls, we just thought it would be better just to lock it behind progression. But it's fine, I guess, because Santa Races and Dinosaur Jungle are somewhat designed around a less capable Sonic anyways. By the time you're done with Dinosaur Jungle, Sonic starts becoming a fun character to play as. But that brings another problem: Sonic's speed. So you know how Sonic is supposed to be fast? But yeah, well, he really isn't in this until later in the game. I get it somewhat. They want Sonic to be easier to control, so they have Sonic move slow in the beginning, but then as the game goes on, he'll move faster until you hit level 99. And then at that point, he'll just start moving at the speed of light. But in the beginning, I think he's just way too slow. That's why Santa Race is my least favorite real area in the game. I give it as mainly linear so that you can get accustomed to how Sonic plays outside of the tutorial area, but it's just way too linear, and there isn't any pathways for returning visits. Even when Sonic does get faster, it still doesn't save a level, considering you're just running through a linear field. Only this time it takes 1.5 minutes instead of 4. Not even Speed Break fixes this problem. I don't think it's awful, but the leveling system is far from perfect. Now, unfortunately, this might be the last time my leveling system felt somewhat undercooked. But switching gears to something I feel more positive about, the music in this game is fantastic in my opinion. Fumi Kumatani, Kenichi Tokoi, and Serio Okamoto, along with vocals from Rumblebee, come back to make what in my opinion is one of the best Sonic soundtracks of all time. Now that I brought up the cutscene music, it's probably time for me to bring up the story again, considering I already dropped little details before. Personally, I think the story in this game is well written. The main 3 characters of this game, Sonic, Charlotte, and User Jen, are all at least somewhat interesting characters. Charlotte is a really good character in my opinion. She's pretty much a better Elise, as she's more quiet than Sonic, but is so determined to do what's right and stop Eraser. User Jen is probably one of my favorite villains of the franchise. He nearly steals the show every cutscene he's in, as he's just really entertaining with his dialogue, but he's also hateable enough to a point where I want to see him taken down. I think it's pretty fun that he's one of the only villains to get under Sonic's skin.
You, blue rat! Have you gathered the 7 rings yet?
And enough of that rat stuff! Seriously, I'm a hedgehog! Hedgehog!
It's also a pretty fun twist that he's the genie from Aladdin. And then you have Sonic himself, who I think is pretty much perfectly written in this game. Sonic has adventures and cocky, but he isn't an idiot that can't look before he leaves. He toys with his opponent and makes one-liners, but most of them are pretty cool. It is annoying to a point I wish I could just reach for the screen and strangle him. Sonic is really fun in this game because he bounced off the world and characters really well.
Then. Why not just try splashing some water on him?
Wow, the wisdom of Sinbad of the Seven Seas, the adventurer of adventurers.
Hey, I don't see you coming up with any better ideas.
Stop it!
I also think it's pretty wholesome when Sonic tries to cheer Chara up when she feels guilty for Sonic's condition. After a genie and master relationship transformed into an actual friendship by the end of the game. Other Sonic characters technically appear in this game as characters of the Arabian Nights. Actually, researching the origins of these characters is pretty interesting. Alibaba, who has the appearance of Tails, is a young woodcutter, who one day finds a bunch of gold. One day, Alibaba's brother finds out that he's richer than him and demands to know where he found so much gold. He then finds it and ends up dying there. Now, there's a lot more that I could go in depth about, but I kinda don't feel like it, so I won't. Sinbad, who takes the appearance of Knuckles, is also an explorer, as he was able to find different kinds of rivers and islands. I like the detail that Shredder is a massive fan of Sinbad, asking him to share some of his wisdom. And finally, there's King Shredder, who has the appearance of Eggman. One day his wife cheated on him. Rather than just taking the L, he has her and their mother killed. Honestly, pretty expected for kings at the time. But then he goes on to marry new wives daily just to have them executed. And he does this until he finds someone he actually likes. So, needless to say, should've just dropped him, Sonic. Another thing I find interesting about the game's story is the rings. Shara is the genie of the ring, so Shara gives Sonic the ring so that he can command her. Unlike the lamp, the ring can only do small wishes like summoning handkerchiefs or bringing Sonic a magic carpet, but it can be used an infinite amount of times, opposed to the lamp which can do anything you want it to, but you only get to use it 3 times. Then there's the 7 world rings, which, yeah, pretty much like Chaos Stones, but they do have their own unique properties. All of them are based off an emotion, highlighting the positives and negatives of all of them. The yellow, aqua, and white all have similar emotions. Yellow is joy, aqua is pleasure, and white is wishes. As Sonic points out when he gets the Ring of Wishes, desiring wishes can lead to admiration, but it can also lead to greed and ambition. Red and green are also similar. Red is rage, while green is hatred. Both can turn to positive emotions when redirected at the right thing, but letting both of them undealt with can be dangerous to yourself and others. Blue is sadness. It's usually just portrayed as a negative emotion, but can lead to better judgment. And finally, blue is prayer, and I actually have nothing to say here. Maybe someone can point something out in the comments. It's pretty interesting that the 7 word rings aren't just stand-ins for the Chaos Emeralds, but at least did try to make the 7 word rings somewhat interesting. But on to a lighter subject to write about. The graphics are pretty standard for a third-party Wii game. Now, this game's graphics have nothing on Mario Galaxy, but still not bad for a 2007 game. Models are pretty standard, though I do like Sonic's model though. Well, I do think it's pretty funny how in the few in-game cutscenes this game has, they try to hide the fact Sonic doesn't have a movable mouth. Except he does in the party mode, which is weird. The cutscenes are really good in my opinion. The extra details go a long while in making these entertaining. The page has this old grainy filter over it and is washed out, implying that the story is really old. The characters will appear in panels and will shrink and grow or move out of frame depending on where they are or where they're going. The illustrations are top notch. Sure, this art of Sonic at the beginning of Pirate Storm looks pretty cursed, but there's only one slightly below average drawing and the rest are great. I really like how Sonic's quills and eyebrows are drawn here. Makes his expressions look really cool. But on the topic of cutscenes, I think the voice acting is pretty good this time around. But to get to the endgame, Sonic is trying to decide to pull up to Eraser's palace once King Solomon tells him to seal him in the lamp. This is where we get a pretty fun and climactic final level. This is where you have to use time stop, rooms of enemies. Charlie even gets the magic carpet to travel between towers. And this is a section we have to go through pocket dimensions. Even the extra missions are a little bit of fun. But eventually, Eraser Jin faces off of us. I suppose we should talk about the rest of the boss fight since we're already talking about Eraser. Out of 5, 3 are fun in my opinion. The Sand Scorpion is a good tutorial boss. Teaches you to look out for his attack patterns. Plus, when you know what to do, you can beat him in like a minute and a half. The Ifrit is also a fairly fun one, with his boss taking place in a circular arena, as you have to get rid of these glowing things on his knuckles. Then climb in his head and block him a few times. However, a boss that doesn't fare well to me is Captain Behemoth. You're supposed to dodge his attacks until you get to how many attack his horn, and where you have to shake a remote to simulate Sonic kicking his horns off. This part just takes too long as you have to wait a somewhat lengthy time, and if you mess up you have to wait all over again. Sonic shaking the horns off is also a whole ordeal as you really have to shake the thing if you want to get anywhere. However, Eraser is easily the best fight in the game, as it's simple so it's on you to get it right. Eraser will usually do vertical slashes and a V slash. The times you can damage him are these L and Z shaped slashes, in which case you'll be given the opportunity to hit him 3 times. You'll also be in these 2D standoffs, but you have to time just at the right time in order to damage him. If you mess up, you'll be damaged instead. This boss will be pretty difficult on your first playthrough, at least it was for me. But to me, it's perfectly fair as its attacks are well choreographed. Couple that with an epic boss theme. And you have what I think is the best boss fight in the game. After the fight, Eraser frees into this dirt. Fun fact, if you don't have all the world rings up to this point, Sonic basically goes, well, best we get the rest of them. Credits. Not the most awful thing in the world, but I still didn't want to spend 4 minutes on credits though. But if you do have all of them, Sonic and Shara face Eraser with all 7 world rings. In a shocking reveal though, Shara is tempted by Eraser to give him the world rings, and hints that the real plan was just to use Sonic to get them. Well, Shara is very conflicted. She knows what Eraser will do with them isn't right, and cares about Sonic, but at the same time is in love with Eraser. Eraser tries to kill Sonic because, as stated earlier, part of a prophecy is a sacrifice has to be made, but Shara jumps in the way to keep him from dying, which then causes her to die. But Eraser, not caring, uses the world rings to transform into Alfayla Walela. Sonic, seeing his new friend dead, observes the hatred, rage, and sadness rings and transforms into Darkspine Sonic. This is probably my favorite Sonic transformation. As for one, he's the best color, purple. He just has this mysterious, ominous aura around him, as I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a mouth and his eyes are fully wired out. Jason and Granichi even changed their voices for a deeper tone. Now you might remember, like 2 or 3 minutes ago, I said that out of 5, 3 of their bosses were good. Now, that would imply that this fight isn't good. And you'd be right, because at least in my opinion, it isn't. Shaking to charge up a soul gauge, you shaking to push back the energy ball, and shaking to beat up Eraser. This just gets tiring after a while. This is the one thing that kills the enjoyment of this boss to me mechanically. While the boss does have far enough telegraphs for his attacks, all you need to do to actually hit him just sucks. But I have been talking about how this boss sucks mechanically. I want to specify mechanically because, in my opinion, this is one of the coolest fights in the series when it comes to spectacle. Yeah, this is even cooler than the bosses and Frontiers when it comes to spectacle to me. Alfayla Walela just turned all 1001 stories of the Arabian Nights into nothingness, and you, as Darkspine Sonic, have to stop him. Another reason why I love Darkspine Sonic so much is because Sonic feels so raw in this for him, as he's able to tap his entire Spirit Bomb like attacks away. And Sonic goes absolutely insane when he gets the chance to beat up Alfayla. Kevin Rings and Hands also plays here, and yeah, we have her like 56 times in the game at this point. But honestly, this is one of my favorite vocal themes in the series, so hey, let's play another time.
Make believes we wrong, missing mind we thought, question all that's known, legends blurred and torn, 7 seas in hand, speed of sound through sands, all our hopes and plans, in one single hand.
After the boss fight, we get probably one of Sonic's coolest moments in the series. Sonic counting the wishes down is just really satisfying, as Eraser is pretty much powerless here.
The world is mine! I cannot be denied by that filthy rat! Why?
I told you, I'm not a rat! I'm a hedgehog!
After that, Sonic kills Eraser, and yeah, he's technically not dead, but Sonic just dropped him into lava. Really, there was no way that anyone was gonna get to him. So, for all intensive purposes, Eraser's just kinda dead. He explores some more with Alibaba and Sinbad, and finally returns home, ending Sonic in the secret rings.
Thank you, Sonic the Hedgehog, the legendary hedgehog.
Now, do I think that Sonic and the Secret Rings is some misunderstood masterpiece or something? No. This game obviously has problems, even disregarding that some people don't like the motion controls. The mission structure kinda sucks a lot of the times, and the missions suck sometimes too. But also, the reason why I'm titling this video Why I Love Sonic and the Secret Rings and not Why It's Misunderstood or something, and because honestly, I just feel like this game is fun. Whatever flaws this game does have, that isn't really enough to make me dislike it. But at this point, I feel like I've said what I wanted to with this video. Special shoutouts to Joko for coming on this video. Maybe after this he'll finish that Sonic Prime video he's been spending months on. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys later.